Hello wonderful humans, and welcome back to my channel and my journey through Wheel of Time. So just in case you're new here, I'm currently reading through The Great Hunt. Well, actually I've finished it. I'm sharing with you in these videos my thoughts on The Great Hunt. When I read a chapter, I stop at the end of it and I record a page of notes in my trusty reading journal. Just a page of notes that capture exactly what I'm thinking and feeling in the moment as I finish reading the chapter. I do not read on, I don't even read the next sentence of the next chapter. I just stop and I record what I'm thinking and feeling in the moment. It's not a plot synopsis, so do not think that it's going to be a plot synopsis. If you haven't read it, it's probably not going to make any sense, but that's okay, go read it. And you will enjoy it, I'm sure. But I'd love to know if you are reading along with me. I'd love to know if you're noticing the same things as me, if you're making the same predictions as me, and how you felt when you first read the book. This is my experience. It's going to be very different for you as well, and so I might as well get started today. We're reading chapters 20 to 26. So the first chapter for today is 20, Seden. Selene desperately wants to see the horn again, using her beauty to try and get it, and trying to get her way as well. Doesn't seem to be working this time, at least. She almost manages it though, but Rand suspects that there's more to her without realizing it. I think he's got a desire not to be an Aes Sedai puppet again, and he suspects that maybe that's what she is, or she's got some connection to them, and he breaks the thrall. But so the big question there is she an Aes Sedai? And then why is she trying to hide it? I'm sure we will find out more about that as we go. She says that she's not, but maybe she was going to be, or she was. Do Aes Sedai ever stop being Aes Sedai? I don't know. Maybe she never made it through being a novice. Maybe they saw something dark in her, like the desire for glory. That seems to be the only thing I can pinpoint at the moment. She's got this real desire for this glory and for more. So I'd say that could be, if she was an Aes Sedai or was going to be an Aes Sedai and she wasn't, that could be some connection there. But at the same time, maybe she's just unrelated to the Aes Sedai at all. But it seems to be that Rand is suspecting that, and he wouldn't be suspecting that and mentioning it if it wasn't relevant. The statue. Now, I imagine it's kind of like the Statue of Liberty size. Is that too big for what I'm picturing, or is it not big enough? I actually don't know, but that's in my mind. That's the size of a statue that I'm imagining. And what is this orb in the statue? I feel that this is going to be relevant, and we will learn more about it. Was it made before the breaking? Obviously it's linked to magic in some way, but how? And then will Rand be affected by any madness again? I think, will this bring something about in the following chapters? Will he be dealing with repercussions of this connection? He's being tempted more and more by Seden, with no real ability to control it. It's much more aggressive than the girls so far, especially given the girls, Nynaeve and Egwene, the women, when they're going through their meditation exercises, they're told that to access, it's like a flower. I feel that Rand's is a lot more aggressive than a flower. So it's quite different, and I suppose that's that complementary feeling to it, which is a little gendered, but I'll allow it. Maybe Rand is going to have to go to another world, one of those other places, to learn how to access Seden and control it, because no one in his world is going to be able to help him. So having these other worlds means that it does open up opportunities for him to go somewhere that maybe the dragon didn't break the world, and the taint didn't enter Seden, and he can go and learn how to access it, and that will help him. given the Aes Sedai don't know how to access it or how to use it or how to control it, he's going to need to learn how to somehow, unless he's just able to do it on his own at some point. Or maybe he never does learn to control it and that's actually the story. Maybe this is a tragedy. Am I reading a tragedy and I didn't know it? On another note, why doesn't Selene want to be at the inn? She even made a last-ditch effort to leave with Rand. Maybe they'll recognize her and she knows they'll get split up or something. So that's sort of interesting as well. She really doesn't want to be around other people. Maybe it's her thrall. Maybe she can keep a certain number of people under her bewitching nature, but the more people around her, the more that's stretched. Chapter 21, the 9 rings. Selene leaving in the middle of the night because she doesn't like people, or the captain, Captain Caldefwin, it is really suspicious. I mean, I'm really suspicious of Selene anyway, but this is just extra suspicious. Is this some link to this great game that they're talking about? Is Selene actually a noblewoman from this city and she's playing the great game in some way? Lowell and Hurin have obviously talked about that a little bit. So obviously we're going to learn a little bit more about the game. Seems like a fairly normal kind of political game, but cooler because it has a name. Selene didn't want them to know her name. Did she make the serving girls twinge to cause a distraction? Still makes me think she has some power, but if not Aes Sedai, maybe she's got some other kind of power, like Perrin has and Hurin has. So there could be other powers. Maybe she's got one of these. Rand's beginning to settle into this lord thing. He needs to learn a little bit more about the political stuff. Not surprising that he doesn't know about it because it doesn't have that same political scene in Edmund's field. But he needs to get with the program a little bit. Not that, okay, I'm not trying to be judgy with this. I get that Rand can't have got with the program before this, but he's going to need to learn quickly because otherwise he's going to get really lost in this bigger world. So the sooner he can pick it up, the better. It'll definitely help him deal better, or deal in a better way for himself and for other people with the Aes Sedai and other nobles and royalty, because he's going to have to, if this is going in any direction that I think it's going, he's going to have to be dealing with people in these high positions. So he needs to learn how to play things like this great game and be a bit more switched on about what's going on around him as well. But I think he's getting a little bit better with this as he grows and as he expands his awareness, so it makes sense. And going back to the statue from the previous chapter, is it important in the scheme of things in the book, or is just this Kerhen, the city's wanting something impressive? Are they just all about show? And so the statue is another one of those things that doesn't really matter in the story. I think that it does matter. I'd be surprised if it doesn't have some relevance at some point, but maybe it is just one of those things. It's that little bit of sprinkling of world building that Robert Jordan does so well. Where did Caldefwin, the captain, go? Did he go to report to someone or to find out how Selene got away from the inn without anyone watching? He left. Where? And is this going to be relevant? Are we going to see him? Is he going to cause problem later? We'll find out soon. At least now they have more soldiers if the Trollocs catch up. But Matt and Perrin won't like seeing Rand all lordly like this. It would have been really cool to see a scene where Rand's riding along as a lord and Matt and Perrin see him, and then there's that whole more divide between the trio. But we probably don't need more divide between the three of them. There's enough of that already. Chapter 22, Watchers. I really enjoy Moraine's point of view. We still don't get much more info, but we learn more about what's driving her, how much she's juggling. So it's not just one thing, she's got a lot of puzzle pieces up in the air. Or, going back to what I think or what I've said in an earlier video, chess pieces. She's at the moment controlling or trying to control the chessboard, but I really don't think she knows the rules. Anyway, she's jealous of Nynaeve and Lan, I think. Not romantically jealous, but that she will eventually lose her companion to the younger woman. I think it's one of those soft jealousies, not a nasty jealousy. It's just a little bit of a sad jealousy almost. Lan and her relationship is really intriguing. She has made him bond to her partially to keep him alive, and that I do respect her a lot for. I think that's really telling about who she is, even if she's not always able to show that. They're companions, but they're not quite friends, I don't think. I think they're friendly, and they're definitely more than just acquaintances. They're companions, and I think that's a really special relationship in itself. She does hold a lot back from him, but he's just gotten used to rolling with it. So I do, it makes me think, what else has she done or said, or what else has he seen, and he's just rolled with it without asking any questions. She's right that Nynaeve has cracked through some of his barriers. That makes sense that he helped Rand before meeting the Amyrlin seat, and you can sort of link that in. He's seen that Rand and the others are important to Nynaeve, and so now they have become important to him, and I think that makes a lot of sense, and it will make it a lot easier for them all to, I don't know whether they'll ever be friendly, I don't know, but be closer or be more part of the team, and learn to trust each other a little bit. And it's really good to know that the bond can pass from Aes Sedai, because I was really concerned that Moraine would have to die for Lan to be free to be with Nynaeve, but now I know that that doesn't have to happen, so that's positive. Now, the Forsaken. Is Selene Lanfear? I guess that the fact that we're getting this information here means that it probably is the case, but is it just a misdirect? Again, it's hard to tell sometimes whether Robert Jordan is trying to send me and my brain in a different direction, but I think it's fairly straightforward in this case. I really do think that this is what's happening, and it makes perfect sense for Selene to be Lanfear, and that is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. The two old Aes Sedai are great. I think that I would love to see more of them, but Moraine's journey there tells us she has so much more that she's guessing. Also, the plan will probably be to gentle Rand as quickly as possible after the Dark One is destroyed, unless they find another way to deal with the taint. The Dark One obviously knows she's a threat, so they'll be in more danger as they go along. The question is, will she be heading to Tom and Head now, or somewhere else completely? Has she got other business that she has to deal with? And we're obviously, on top of that, we are obviously not done with Mordeth yet. So I was right. I did think in the Eye of the World, I said I don't think we've seen the end of this deadly character. We're going to see Mordeth again in some way. I don't know yet how. But yeah, is she going to head to Tom and Head or not? That is the question. Chapter 23, the testing. Nynaeve's test has told us so much about her, more than probably anything else we've learned about her so far. But maybe we did know all these things already, but this has just laid it out and connected a few dots, I suppose. The archers, or the Terangriel, is that Terangriel, that holds the test remind me of in Tamora Pierce's book, or books in the Tortal universe, that she's got this chamber of ordeal where if you want to become a knight, you have to go through the chamber of ordeal first and go in and be tested with your worst fears and then come out. Similar kind of idea. I wonder which one came first. It's not that new an idea, either way. through facing our fears and accepting them, we can grow. It's that kind of feeling both have, and they've both used it for different but similar reasons. Will we get to see a Gwen's test at some point? Because that will be really interesting as well, I think, to learn more about a Gwen, or to get more clarity about some of the things we know about a Gwen. Mostly, we've learnt that Nynaeve has access to the source in the other place, which she shouldn't have. Which, is that just because no other... She didn't tell any... Well, did she tell them? She did. She did tell them that she had used it. Or she mentioned it briefly. Does that mean that no one else has told them that they've had access to the source or have used it? Or is this something brand new that she shouldn't have been able to do, and this again presents her as special in a way? There's definitely, I personally think it's suggesting that her powers are special or different from the others in some way, and we will get to the root of what that means at some point as she progresses through her training. Her willpower and her ability to sacrifice are so clear though, as are her determination and stubbornness. I think we'd seen her stubbornness, we'd seen her willingness to help or look after her villagers, but it's just that next step. It's confirming things, as I said, about her that we already kind of knew, but it's taking them that next step. And how heartbreaking for her to have to leave the village and then Lan crying out for her help. I feel a Gwen wouldn't have made it through at this stage, and neither would Rand. If Rand was in that situation, I don't think he would make it. Not yet anyway. I think they both need to go through more before they'll get to that point that they can do that. Not that I think that Rand's going to go through this same process, but I'm just comparing them just out of interest. Nynaeve has a really special kind of strength, and I'm really excited to see it develop and grow and flourish into something that's going to make her a better person, I think. I hope. I quite like Nynaeve. I think she's pretty awesome. Chapter 24, New Friends and Enemies. So much happening here. I didn't expect to see Min, or Gallad, or Elaida, actually. But I'm happy Min and Elaine will be Gwen's friends. I think that's a really nice friendship there. At least until Rand comes into the picture anyway. That could cause problems. What's the bet Min's words to Elaine that she'd have to share her husband with 2 other women is Rand, a Gwen and Min. So there's, a Gwen, Elaine and Min. I think that there's a lot that's going to be happening there, especially regarding Rand. Gawyn's comments about Rand being Tavern is really interesting. I wouldn't have thought that Gawyn was that sort of observant in our brief look at him earlier. But he's been running into people who have had their lives changed by chance encounters with Rand. And that sort of makes me start going, did he go looking for these people? Did he notice something about Rand in the moment and go looking for these people? Or did he stumble across these people? Because that is very telling in a separate way as well, if these people were put in his path for him to stumble across. But I just think he's a lot more observant than I probably thought in that first introduction, which was mainly focused on Elaine and Rand's meeting back in the Eye of the World. Elaida will be incredibly annoyed if she realizes Gwen knows Rand and she sent her away so she could talk to Min. And I wonder if Elaida will then take that out on a Gwen or Min or someone at a later date. This is a very different intro to Tar Valon than Nynaeve's experience. I feel that Nynaeve's experience of coming into this new environment, this city, the tower, was more aggressive, not quite violent, but more on that end of the scale, with going almost straight into the test. She had a less pleasant entry, and Gwen is gently, just like in their training where the Aes Sedai would gently take a Gwen through her meditation, and they'd forcibly and violently go through Nynaeve's training. So it's different approaches for different people. And I think that is very appropriate for their characters. But I hope Nynaeve gets to make some friends too, because I'd be very sad if a Gwen comes out of this with friends and Nynaeve doesn't. Is Gallard a good person who just really annoys his sister, half-sister? Or is there something more sinister to him? Just, there's something about it that doesn't make sense. But we're getting a lot of information from Elaine, and she clearly doesn't like her half-brother. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to a lot of things, but I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to see if Gallard is actually a good person. Or, I mean, they're all mixed of good and bad, aren't they? But I just think that'll be interesting to sort of see play out the differences between what Elaine says and feels compared to what he really is like. Chapter 25, Keir Hine. Tom's back. I was expecting him, but not quite yet. I think last book I was expecting him every chapter. This book I wasn't expecting him just yet. At least that is a good reason for Rand to be in this city. It has me a little bit uneasy though. I feel that something's gonna happen, something bad. Rand just wanted to be in the fun foregate area because he's a lord. He couldn't. That's a good little bit of learning for him as well though, that he can't be anonymous in this role. As long as he's in this higher position, he will always have to live a slightly different life. He won't be able to go hang out in the taverns and the inns like he used to. There's trouble brewing. The invitations he burnt, asking for Selene, people reading into every act and word that he says. This is not a game that Rand has patience for. He doesn't necessarily have the skill for it, but it's the patience that I think he's really lacking. If he learns the value of patience and calm, that really will help him in this world. I think that's, when I think about it, I think that's probably some of the skills that he's going to have to learn, how to be patient and wait, because not everything happens on his schedule. Lowell is showing some signs of discomfort being in this town. I think because he expects to be found out as a runaway, or is there more to the story of his last visit? Did he run into some people? Did he get into trouble in some way? There's something going on there. He's just uncomfortable being in this city. And because I don't like it when Lowell is uncomfortable, I hope that they leave soon. And the king here is very into how things look, distracting the population, getting that statue, that kind of thing. It has a bit of a, if you're an Avatar The Last Airbender fan at all, it has a bit of that Ba Sing Se, the city that has the wall around it, and it's got these hidden undercurrents, but on the surface it looks like everything is perfect. And it just had that feeling to me, similar to Ba Sing Se. I bet it won't take long for Rand to do something that lands him in trouble. I don't know what, it will just happen. I'm not sure if he should tell Tom about the horn or anything, but he probably will. But maybe Tom can help him with the Selene issue, pointing out how bewitched Rand is. Surely Tom will be able to help Rand in some way. And I'm hoping that we get to see more of him now. Chapter 26, Discord. And with almost no hesitation, I love at the end of the last chapter, I say, I'm not sure if Rand should tell Tom about the horn. And then in chapter 26, the first thing like that I've written here, with almost no hesitation, Rand told Tom about the horn and asked enough questions to raise Tom's suspicions regarding Rand and being the Dragon Reborn, or at least a false dragon puppet. Tom's knowledge of the old songs would be incredibly useful for Rand as he goes through, because they're going to be more helpful than what limited knowledge he already has. But also it means he'll be ticking over what Rand has said. So Tom is not an idiot. He will be thinking it through and piecing together what he has already seen in the Eye of the World and what is happening now and what Rand is asking and talking about. He's going to put it together and wait until he sees Rand's heron brands, like his his palm and even the cloak and everything. Hopefully Rand doesn't dwell too much on the spilling blood at Shal Ghul, but it'll probably come back to him sooner than later. I'd say that'll be something that will ruminate for a while and will come back, and that will not be a good thing for him when that comes back. Rand will have definitely attracted attention dashing off to see Tom the way that he did. He was probably followed, and now Tom's going to be watched, which is not a good thing at all. The noble house Tom's performing at will probably already know the connection, and it will lead to him leaving with Rand and co somehow. That's what I'm thinking anyway. I feel that because Rand has visited Tom, Tom is now in danger of some kind, and he's going to need to get out of the city pretty quickly. But yeah, and I assume that he's going to go with Rand. Will Dina go with them, or will Dina stay? And how old is Tom? Okay, I had a problem here. How old is Tom? I have a thing about ages, and Dina is younger than Rand, so I'm just going to say it. Tom's a dirty old man. I know these relationships happen. I know that the age gap thing is something more normal now than it was in the past. But Tom is a dirty old man, okay? I thought for a minute we'd get to go to the library, but Tom had the info that Rand needed, so no need for Rand to go and read books. Can Rand read? Rand can read. Yeah, he can, because Tam liked to read. I like a library. I like a scene set in the library. So maybe they'll come back. They'll come back and the statue will be involved somehow, and so will the library. Otherwise we wouldn't know the information. We would not know there was a library in this city if it wasn't relevant later. So surely Rand will still go there at some point. So there you go. There are my thoughts on chapters 20 to 26 today. And I hope that you enjoyed some of my thoughts, my ramblings. I think having read a little bit ahead now in The Dragon Reborn, the third book, I know where some of the questions I've raised and have gone, or what's happening, and I love that. I love going back over what I'm saying now and noticing whether I'm on the right track or not, and that's great. I'd love to know, when you read The Great Hunt for the first time, did you have the same experience I'm having, or was yours completely different? Did you pick up on different things? Did you ignore things that I've paid attention to? Or did you pick up on things that I just haven't written about? I'd love to know. I'd love to know about your reading experience, because that's how I learn more about other people, and I get to have that conversation, and I love it. So yeah, get involved in the comments below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I release 2 of these videos, one on a Wednesday, one on a Friday, roughly, give or take a few hours. So make sure you come back and check out some of my other content as well, where I'm sharing some other books that I enjoy reading.